more diversified than what we've had here in the past. It was interesting. You guys have probably already done your research, but we have 7 from Houston, 5 from Dallas, 5 from East Texas, 3 from San Antonio, 2 Oklahoma, 2 Kansas, 1 Arkansas, 1 California, and 1 Florida. So a little more spread out than what we've been in the past. Our coaching staff, we want to thank everybody in the community. Stillwater's been tremendous for us. When young men come and visit here, professors on campus, personnel on campus, the people in the community always have been tremendous recruiters for us. It always helps when the family comes in and they feel very comfortable in Stillwater and on campus here at Oklahoma State. So we were able to sign 5 offensive linemen, more size than what we've had in the past. We're very excited about that. We were able to bring in our quarterbacks that we have had committed for a long time. We're looking forward to getting those guys in the offensive scheme and giving them an opportunity to learn the system. Obviously, we brought the running back in from Kansas, Joseph Randall, that we think will be a great fit for us. A couple wide receivers, guys from Texas. Obviously, you got Dinkins and you got Kevin Johnson, Montre Nelson. Depending on how big he gets, whether he'll be a wideout or not, we're not sure. But guys that can catch the ball and make some plays. But then defensively is where we signed a majority of the numbers. We were looking for a lot of defensive back type skill players, corners, safeties. We graduated a number of those guys. So we brought several of those guys in and then picked up 4 defensive linemen and then a number of linebackers that we've had committed here for a long time, being Catlin and Lewis and with Caleb Levy, who's already on campus. So we're very excited about this class. Looking forward to getting these guys in here this summer.
Mike, talking about the defense, is there a Bill Young kind of imprint on this as well?
Well, let's look. Defensive line. I would say that most coaches would tell you, when you get a defensive lineman, you got to take them. They're hard to find. It's hard to find big guys that can run and they're active enough to play on that side of the ball. So, defensive linemen, you take them. From a safety standpoint, when you look at Zach Craig and you look at Lavach Cooper and Dion Amade, we wanted guys that could come up and tackle well, that were athletic, that could tackle well. But you're always looking for that guy that can also cover, because of the way people spread out now, they have to be able to cover. And then at the corner position, I think it's probably similar across the country. You're looking for guys that can have good cover skills, that can to allow you to overload the box and stop the run. But you also have to be able to come up and make that tackle and get guys down.
Mike, you got just the one JUCO transfer this year.
Mm-hmm.
Does that signal a change in philosophy?
Well, I'm not sure if it's a change in philosophy, but I think it's due to availability. We'll always look into what's out there in the junior college ranks, and if it fits the system, or you have a player that graduates early or goes early to the draft, or if you had an injury and you need to replace somebody, and then there's a player that fits that role. I guess what I'm saying is we'll always look into junior college ranks and see what's available.
Mike, with Johnny Deaton, were you looking for a kid to come in and be in here in school for spring ball and everything? Were you specifically looking for that?
Selfishly, we want him here as fast as we can get him. That's a decision that the young man and his family have to make. And Johnny wanted to come in early, and he's close to home, so he still has a chance to go back and be at graduation, be at the prom. He can get back and forth. I think it's an advantage for him to be here. Trains with Coach Glass and has an opportunity to learn the system and just get adjusted to this level. But it's not the only criteria for a quarterback, but it helps for them to come in early.
You expect Hayden Sorensen to compete for the starting job?
Well, Brandon Whedon will be our starting quarterback going into spring football. And then from that point on, those other guys will all compete for the backup role. But it's Brandon's job to lose. And the other guys will come in and fight for it. And, the greatest thing there is competition. Anytime you got players competing for one job, it makes our job a lot easier.
What skills and talents does Deacon have that you like so much?
Well, I think he's a good leader. He's tough. He's going to be big. He's physical. And throws the ball well. He has shown the ability to avoid the rush and move around and make plays. And I think that's important in today's football. I shouldn't say very few, but there's not a lot of times quarterbacks just sitting in the pocket with not getting pressure. They're so athletic on defense now, they have to move around, make plays.
Mike, on the two quarterbacks, they've been committed. I mean, they may have been the first two guys to commit to the recruiting class, yet they had to weather a change in offensive coordinator. From your perspective, how did you communicate? What did you need to convey to them once you hired Dana Holgerson?
Well, Johnny was here, so he didn't have any say in it. We went down and met with Nathan and his family, and most of the players that are on our offensive commitment list are very familiar with Dana and the style of play and what he brings to the table. So there really wasn't many discussions that went on. Johnny committed at this time last year, and so he's been on board for a year.
Mike, talking about quarterbacks, we looked at a picture from the Elite 11 camp from a few years ago, and they were all washouts. How hard is it to evaluate quarterbacks, and what are the specific things that you like to look for?
Well, I think we want young men who will compete. They've had a history of making plays in crucial situations, savvy, tough. It's the one position that you don't have an opportunity to hit back. In most cases, you're absorbing the blow. You don't have a chance to defend yourself a lot of times, so you have to be a tough player. And it's not easy. Recruiting's not a perfect science. There's a number of young men, which we've talked about, that have come through this program that were not very highly recruited and have done very well. And there's other players that come in as 4- and 5-star players in somebody's opinion and didn't pan out. So I think what it comes down to is what the young man's made of and how important football is to him, and if he's willing to pay the price. College football is not an easy game. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it, and you have to continue to push forward and move every day, try to get better. And I think the quarterback position is no different than any other. Guys got to be willing to pay the price when they get here and put in the hard work and effort in order to adjust to all the different looks you see nowadays against good defenses.
With all the kids, is it easy or hard for you to look at this group one by one and say, this guy might be able to help us immediately, or have you even gone through it and looked at it that way?
We have, and we've told them that they need to expect to play in the first game. There's a number of positions where we're going to need some backup. We're going to need some depth early in the season and to bring guys along. If they can come in here and win the job in August, that's great. A lot of times that doesn't happen. There's a big adjustment. But there'll be a number of players that we're going to expect to compete next year and obviously play in the first game. Your skill positions have a better chance than the linemen on either side of the ball.
Part of the adjustment is the physicality and speed of the game. Is Coach Glass in contact with these guys, things he wants them to work on while they're finishing out their high school careers?
We're allowed to send them a workout manual once we've received all their information and they're on board with us. And then they come in the summer and train now. That bridge program that was implemented, 3 or 4 years ago, considerably different than what it used to be because you didn't show up till August practice. Well, now they have the opportunity to show up in June, so they train for 8 weeks before we start. And by the time they come back in August, after being here with Coach Glass, they're in very good physical condition, so that gives them a chance to play early in their career.
Can you address the character criteria as well? I mean, just this morning we've had about 8 of those guys on the radio, how well spoken they are, the things they say. I mean, obviously it's like the NFL when they draft. You're looking for guys with character.
Well, we first start with young men that we think really want to play football and then want to buy into the program. I think at times everybody looks for a great player. We all want great players with good character. But if there's a great player that, in our opinion, may be a little sketchy in that area, we may go the other direction. Not that we're always right. You know, there's players that have come in over the last few years that we were a little unsure of how they would react when they got here, and they've done very well. And we've had guys that have come in that we thought were top notch, and for lack of a better term, they went south on us. So character is very important. You know, you have 130 players on the team, and so they have to be willing to put the individual side of it over there and play for the team, and so the character is important.
Hey, Mike, when you invest a year in a guy
Mm-hmm.
and you lose him at the last minute, is it really deflating, or do you just know each year to expect something like that?
I don't know if I can talk about that. Can I, Kevin?
Probably not very well.
Hypothetically, in general.
Hypothetically, that's you guys saying that.
I mean, just the nature of it. It's all
Yeah.
so
Well, just let me say from in a kind of a broad perspective that the only thing that we ever concern ourselves with is the 27 that are here, and I don't know. It's always hard to comment on something like that. There's a lot of time and effort that go into recruiting these young men. Recruiting's changed. The majority of this class has been committed here for 3 months, and so we work with a limited number of scholarships based on the total number of 85. And so 14 go out, you can bring 14 in, so on and so forth. And then once we hit that max of whatever we're going to bring in, we're in a very delicate position to continue to recruit other players, because we don't want to lead them on. If they were to want to jump on the boat and then you were to say, we don't have one for you, that's not a good situation to be in. So once we get to a point where we've reached the number of 85 with the incoming class, we essentially stop recruiting. We just continue to stay in touch with the ones that we are recruiting. That's where that's the most difficult issue, to answer your question, is that essentially once you're full, you're full. You're not recruiting anybody else. And if you do lose a player late, whoever that may be, wherever they're from, chances of replacing them aren't very good, because if you haven't recruited anybody for 3 months at that particular position, it'd be hard to get them.
Doing a little research, one of the things we found that in their senior year, and even the junior college player that you signed, Malcolm Murray,
Mm-hmm.
this group wanted like a 75% clip. All but like 2 or 3 of them were in the playoffs as seniors. How much do you look at the program they're coming from, the winning? Because obviously you would prefer a kid with a winning attitude.
We take that into account. Some players aren't as fortunate as others. You know, if you grow up in this part of the state, or you grow up in this district or this school zone, that's where you have to go to school. But I think there's something to a young man, if he has the ability and the character and then comes from a winning program. I think that's an advantage.
You think Caleb Levy physically, by August, is going to be ready to play right away?
We'll find out this spring, Bill. You know, is he physical enough? Yes. I mean, can he transform that into being on the field and holding up and being durable and going through the grind of spring ball? We'll find out. But he weighs 235 now, something like that. So he's big enough. Just, you know, whether he can hold up early in his career or not. But he's one of the players we talked about coming in and have an opportunity to play in the first game.
So because you lost so many corners and because you transitioned into more of a passing game, I mean, more than ever, these corners and receivers you're bringing in are going to be given every opportunity to play.
That's correct.
More than you typically would in a different year.
I'd agree with that.
Mike, you only signed 2 Oklahoma. Is that a downer for you, or concern you, or is that?
I'd like to sign a number of Oklahoma players. Again, each year, whether you're talking about Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, Arkansas, high school, junior college. It's based on availability and our needs. And then secondly, it's based on the ones that come to us. There's a number of players that we went after, and if you don't get them, then obviously you try to find the next best available with all the criteria that we talked about earlier, if they meet that criteria. And we end up signing more players from Texas than anywhere, just population and total numbers. There's so many more schools there in population that ends up our numbers are always greater in the state of Texas.
Is the world getting flat and geography doesn't mean as much as it used to?
It does for us. We're not moving out as much as what maybe some other schools, but we feel very good about the football in the state of Oklahoma, and for us, basically Texas, and a little bit of Kansas, a little bit of Arkansas. If we have a tie somewhere else, we'll move that direction, but we stay pretty regional.
Of the skill guys, one guy that looks kind of interesting is Chris Dinkins. Can you talk a little bit about him? And maybe Johnny Gilbert, too, with his speed.
Justin Gilbert? Yeah, Dinkins is weighed 228 pounds last week. He's a big guy. He's very skilled, and on the defensive side of the ball, he'll come up and really hit you. It's very physical. They speak very highly of him there as a defensive player. I think he could maybe play offense at some point in his career if he wanted to. He's got a lot of ability. And then Justin Gilbert, similar. He played high school quarterback at times and was a returner. He's 190 pounds now, and he's got good flexibility, good hips, and good speed. So, those type of athletes are hard to find. And as many of those guys as you can get in your program, they not only contribute at the receiver spot or the defensive back spot, but they'll show up on all your special teams.
Could you just talk a little bit about how big a change in the offense do you think that you'll see with Holderson on staff just next year?
Well, I don't really want to get into a lot of that right now. I mean, on National Signing Day, I'd prefer to talk about the 27 guys, but we brought him in here to run the system that he's comfortable with, and if you go back and look at statistics, I think they rushed for it's either 129 or 139 a game, and they threw for a bunch of yards. So, we'll take that system and fit it into the personnel that we have here on our campus.
A lot of coaches will talk about bringing in one quarterback every year. With Zach David, was it kind of important to build the depth at that position, and that's why you brought in two?
We felt like we needed to bring in two. And in most cases, you bring in one. But in this class, we needed to bring in two players.
Just to kind of build the depth up.
Yeah, just trying to get the total number. And, your goal would be, for us, would be to keep four guys at that position on scholarship, and then any walk-ons you feel like that contribute. So that got us to that number.
Coach, you have four linebackers outside of Caleb Larry. Any of those guys you project seeing that could come in and help out away? I know you're there at that position.
Again, we talked with most of these players about trying to prepare to compete early. Sean Lewis has got a lot of talent, and he comes from a very good program, and he could make that adjustment. Steve Mayweather is a guy that we think's got a ton of talent that is somewhat untapped, and we're looking forward to him. And Chris Catlin, again, you're talking about guys that have some size to them that are used to playing against very competitive or playing very competitive high school football. So that gives them that opportunity. How they handle themselves in the spring and how they handle themselves here in the summer, and then if they can stay healthy during the 29 days before we play the first game, obviously makes a lot of difference.
This is the tallest class you've ever done.
I didn't know that.
Well, I'm just saying.
I brought a lot of information in here to prepare for you guys, but you got me on that one, on the tallest one.
Okafor's 6'7", and you got a couple 6'6".
Okafor's, I don't know if he's 6'7". He's probably 6'6", though, but he's tall. Who else is up there? Eli Dickerson is 6'6". Koning is 6'6" and growing.
They recall.
He is 6'6". You're right. Yeah, those guys are tall. Yeah, most of the time those numbers are skewed, but I've just recently seen all those guys within the last 3 weeks, and they're tall now. Kevin usually fixes those numbers up. I mean, you could see why. I mean, if you were Kevin, you'd want to fix the numbers too.
Mike, you mentioned Tony. How unusual, I mean, for Oklahoma State, I think it's kind of unusual to get three brothers from the same family. Obviously,
The Woods.
mom
Yeah.
and dad have both beaten the circle, the Woods.
You know, the interesting thing is he's built different than the other two. You know, the other two were 6'3"-ish, 6'4", and a little thicker this way. And Daniel is a legitimate 6'6" and is going to really be big. He's weighing, in fact, I think he's a little more than that now. I think he's up to about 270. He's a guy that could be 315 or 320, be 6'7". I think he's still growing. You know, his mom and dad are fairly tall, or really tall, I should say. So he's got a chance to really get big.
Guard or tackle?
Tackle. Mm-hmm.
You kind of like those family legacies coming through a system?
Like what?
The family legacies?
Yeah. Anytime you get, you know what you have with the Konings. I mean, the brothers were good for the program. They're hard workers. They're reliable. They graduated. And this one's the same way. So, you know, in most cases, you know what you're getting.
I know it's dangerous to ask any questions off the topic, but I wanted to ask, you've got a guy fresh out of your program that made the NFL this year that's in the Super Bowl, Jacob Lacey. Of course, he's got a teammate that's from here, Charlie Johnson. Maybe address that, and then also Zach Robinson and what he did in the Senior Bowl, because he kind of stepped out a little bit last Saturday. If you could hit those two topics.
Well, I think it's really it's impressive, and it's tremendous for Oklahoma State to have two players that are starting in the Super Bowl. And Jacob is a guy that surprised a lot of people. He has stayed healthy for them, and he's done a good job. I mean, we couldn't be any more proud of him than we are. He got beat. I saw he got beat last week on that double move. He's been beat on that double move since he came here as a freshman. Whatever team that was, the Jets, hit him on that double move, and I just happened to watch that part of it, and I've seen that happen a number of times. But that's awesome for him to be able to not only make a team, compete at that level, but I mean get a chance to play in your Super Bowl. I mean that's what Charlie did. You know, Charlie's first year, he had an opportunity to be in a Super Bowl. Now Jacob's first year, there's a lot of guys that play forever in the NFL and never get a chance to be in a Super Bowl. So that's a neat situation. We were very excited for Zach. Does not surprise me that he played well, and you know, got opportunity to continue to improve, and he's going to be at the combine. You know, we have 5 players that got invited to the combine, and he'll run well, and he'll test well, and he's got good strength. And you know, I said this a couple years ago, and said it last year that when he gets into an NFL camp and has a chance to develop under the center, his footwork, because of his ability to run, it wouldn't surprise me at all that he would have a chance to make a team because of what's happened now with the third-team quarterback being able to put him in as a wildcat quarterback. I mean, he'd be awesome for that. A guy can run and throw it. So we were excited to see him do well. Parrish Cox played well from what we understand. We were getting updates in their practice. He did very well in the drills. So we're excited about him and his opportunity to have a chance to play in the NFL.
With 5 players in the combine, like you mentioned, and 2 in the Super Bowl, are you guys able to use that in your recruiting tactics? Say, hey, look, what we're doing is putting guys in good positions?
Oh, I think it takes care of itself. I don't think there's any question that young men are excited about being in a program where you're not only having success, but your players are having individual success, have the opportunity to go on and play in the NFL. Most of these players have the dream of being in the NFL. And so I think it only helps your program when you got guys that are starting in the Super Bowl.
Mike, don't you think it's interesting that 15 minutes into this, nobody's even asked about, you got a 4-star running back in this one?
Well, I said it earlier.
Right, but
Yeah.
typically around here, you know, that's the first guy you ask about, the 4-star running back.
Yeah, Joseph is a really good get for us. Good family. He's had brothers that have played at this level. He understands, and he'll be perfect for what we do. So before we made a change on the offense, he was good for what we did, and he'll be good in this system because he can make a guy miss and he can take off and run.
And there's only one running back too. I mean, that's.
We have a number of running backs in the program, though. Yeah, young guys.
Coach, you had two key injuries, Laurie and Kendall. How key are those two guys coming back for guys like Randall and Caleb?
Well, they're both doing very well now. I thought that Kendall was close to being his old self at some point in the Cotton Bowl, and Ori will be full speed. So those guys should be back in the flow, and these young guys need to come in and learn from him and give us some depth. You know, we talked to Randall about playing as a freshman, and I think in his mind, he's expecting to have a chance to compete early in our season.
Do you think Travis Miller might try him in a slot receiver?
I can't answer that right now. I mean, we just got off the road and had meetings yesterday, and I hadn't really got involved in all that yet. But it'd be unfair for me to answer that right now. But he needs to touch the football somehow. Good?
There's a sleeper guy in the class, Mike. I don't even know how you define sleeper, but
There's a number of guys that we really like, and so it's hard for me to say that. One, because their moms will be calling me in the next couple of days, wanting to know why I didn't name their son the sleeper. Lavache Cooper, I think, is a guy that could surprise a lot of Oklahoma State fans.
is he pretty solid at safety, or could he maybe try the corner?
I think he has the ability to play either. He's got good flexibility. Every time I've talked to him, he just scored 28, 30 points in a basketball game. And I say that about him because he's from ARP, and it's not a big area. But he played free safety for them in their system, and he would strike you. He's got good ball skills, and I think he's got a great personality. And he's got a lot of character to him, and he's a guy that could surprise a lot of people.
David L. Collins, can you comment on the kid from Arkansas?
David is, 6'6", 265 or whatever, and his body structure is similar to Coney. He could be 315 in 18 months. We think he's a great get for us. He's a guy that's going to grow, but he's aggressive and should only get better early in his career here. Whether he'll be able to step on the field in the first game, it'll be harder for him than it will be these skill guys because he needs the development. But when you can find a guy that's 6'6", 265 and can move his feet, you have to take every one of them. So we're excited about bringing him in. Good? All right. Thanks.